Hey everyone, Zero X Wing from runebase.org here, and you're watching the runebase.org podcast, your source for news, guides, and updates about THORChain, the THORFi ecosystem, and decentralized finance at large. This week, I had the pleasure of chatting with Emile, the founder and leader of XDEFI Wallet. You can think of XDEFI as like a cross-chain Metamask. It's a browser-extension crypto wallet that is operable across currently 5 different blockchains today, and you can manage all of your crypto assets for Bitcoin, Litecoin, Bitcoin Cash, Ethereum, and Binance Chain, all from the same browser extension wallet. And on this interview, Emile teased a little bit more about what they have in store. We had a great conversation ranging from his background and story to how we got involved with crypto and the THORChain ecosystem. And then we talked about XDEFI, where it is today, what's coming down the road, some trends that we can look forward to in the larger wallet and DeFi ecosystem. And then we closed with some fun conversation around the recent weeks with THORChain and then NFTs and how Emile is passionate about NFTs. Thank you so much for watching. If you like what you see or what you hear, you can subscribe to us on YouTube or find us in your podcast app of choice or get us on our website at runebase.org. We have a lot of great content coming in the pipeline. We just released our 2-part series on the recent THORChain attacks and the community and development team response. And then we're also talking with the CEO of Immunify about their role going forward with strengthening the THORChain ecosystem. So check those out. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you on the inside. Bye. Thank you everyone for tuning in. Today I have the pleasure of chatting with Emile from XDEFI Wallet. Emile, thank you for joining us.
Thanks for inviting me. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. We always love to start with a bit of background, so it'd be great to hear your story. How did you get into crypto? How did you hear about THORChain? And we'll go from there.
Well, I heard crypto like a while back when I was actually still working in traditional finance. I had some friends that were buying some Bitcoins at the time. It was back in 2013, 2014. Didn't really believe into it at the time. Didn't really understood the value behind it, being a value investor. So, looked more into it. Got quite interested by the concept and the few things you could do at the time, like some using it on the darknet, etc. But not much more than that. And I think that then when it arrived, I understood how the potential of the blockchain ecosystem and started diving more into it.
What time frame was that? When did you first hear about crypto and make that transition into learning more about it?
2015, 2016. That's when I really got into it.
And at the time, did you come from a software development background, or what were you doing at the time?
I studied law, interestingly enough. And regulation, financial regulation.
Oh, all right.
Yeah. Well, basically I had a year where it was like law and finance, and I quickly realized that I was definitely not interested into law, anything related to legal, and started really getting interested about finance, financial markets. Joined as a compliance officer into hedge funds back in 2013, fresh out of uni. They realized that I didn't know anything about legal either. And they basically offered me a position of analyst, as I was really interested about stock picking, etc. And I was keep on trying to talk with portfolio managers. And that's what happened. So basically they said all right, so we keep you if you manage to sell us a few stocks in the next 2 months, if you manage to convince us. Otherwise, you'll have to continue either doing anything you're doing with the KYC and so on. That was something I really hated, or leave. Because clearly, you're really not into this compliance stuff. So that's basically what happened. So more traditional finance. Then I created the company, didn't work. Then I went to Bloomberg in financial products, left, went to Reuters, then got hired by a large consultancy firm to launch ventures for them. Ended up being the project lead at Gemfair, which was basically the sister company of Tracer, which is the blockchain platform for the diamond industry. And this is where I've met my partner, and then ended up here.
During that journey, how did you first encounter THORChain? What did that look like?
It was at the end of 2019. I can't remember exactly how I heard about THORChain. I was looking into AMM and I was looking into some interoperability stuff at the time. I think it might have been via the Synthetics partnership announcement back in the days, because I was closely following Synthetics, or probably in one of the Synthetics chats. I don't remember exactly when, but I was towards the last quarter of 2019, I'd say. I invested shortly after, and since then, I've been involved in the community chats, especially early, especially the first half of 2020. Then I got too busy with XDEFI to participate too much in the chat themselves, but still I was always around.
That's a good transition. We want to talk a bit about what XDEFI is and then how it came up inside THORChain or alongside of THORChain. Yeah, do you want to give a brief overview of what is XDEFI today?
Yeah, for sure, man. So in March 2020, I was discussing with my friend David, with our CTO, and I told him, look, we need to look into Rune. Like, that's really interesting after it crashed in March. And he got into it as well. And at the time, we were really like asking ourselves, like, okay, so now, we kind of part of the THORChain community, right? Mia was already there, like he's just joined. We really like the project, really like what they were trying to achieve, which is fundamentally important for the development of the entire decentralized web. So we started asking ourselves, what do we do about it? Are we sitting on big bags? What do we do about it? Do we want to run a node? Do we want to create arbitrage bots? How can we be helpful for the community? And based on a few discussions with the core team at THORChain, we understood quite quickly that they needed a type of infrastructure that we built, okay? And by that I mean like a cross-chain wallet extension that can interact with any UI interfaces that are powered by THORChain. So based on these discussions, we said, let's go. Let's do it. That's also like quite cool to create a wallet itself, and like to be able to create like the wallet that you would like to use is also like an opportunity as a user. So it's fun. So that's how it started, really.
Yeah, 100%. And so for anybody unfamiliar, like a brief explanation, would it be fair to say XDEFI Wallet, it's like a Metamask that you can use across different blockchains, right?
Yeah, that's a fair definition. That's a wallet extension, which is multi-chain. When I say multi-chain, I mean both cross layer ones and EVM-based networks. So that's what it is: send, store, receive any type of crypto from a single place, and then interact with any dApp, irrespective of which layer one they've been built. That's what XDEFI is now. XDEFI really for me is the tool that allow you as a DeFi user to navigate the decentralized web the easiest possible way. That's really for DeFi users. We're also really into NFTs. The team itself and the community around XDEFI Wallet is into NFTs. So we're also trying to create a product with NFT lovers in mind.
Absolutely. And I think it's an increasingly important piece of infrastructure as more and more different blockchains proliferate, right? So I'm looking at my browser extension toolbar right now, and I see Metamask, I see TerraStation Wallet, I see the Binance Wallet, and I see XDEFI coming out in beta right now. Hopefully, the idea is it can replace all of these, and then I'll be able to interact with all sorts of Web3 dApps across different chains without having to use different browser extensions, right? Let's talk a bit about where the extension is today. Which chains and assets do you support currently?
So today we support Ethereum, Binance Smart Chain, Bitcoin, Polygon, Litecoin, THORChain, Bitcoin Cash. I might be forgetting one. Like we 8+. We're adding a new layer one, a big one that you're gonna love. I cannot say it publicly yet, but I will say it in a few weeks via the official channel. But it's an ecosystem that you are using yourself.
All right.
For sure.
Glad to hear it.
So yeah, I think it's easy to guess, like this is an ecosystem really close to THORChain, so I'm sure you guys will guess, but we'll keep the official announcement for when the time is right. So we are already covering like quite a lot of layer ones, a few EVM-based networks, actually the most used. We're looking into Optimism, Arbitrum, obviously, really closely, and into a few other layer ones that looks really promising, and obviously you have Solana, Near protocol that looks interesting, Polkadot, and so on. So that's where we're at.
It's interesting. A lot of times in software, there's this trade-off between simplicity versus power. A lot of times with software, like user interfaces, the more powerful they are, the more flexible they are, the less simple they are to use. I think when you compare XDEFI to Metamask, XDEFI is both more powerful, it integrates with more chains, holds a variety of different kinds of assets that Metamask is not operable with, and it's also weirdly easier to use. Metamask is surprisingly complex for such a critical piece of like Web3 infrastructure today. Like Metamask is technically pretty hard to use as a user. Can you talk about the technical complexity of building something like XDEFI? How much harder is it to build an XDEFI wallet versus something like a Metamask?
Well, I think what's complicated is that like you're trying to build an interface which has to interact with different chains. We're also trying to abstract this concept of chain, so you need to try to make it consistent across the different flows and designs, which isn't really easy. Obviously, from a technical point of view, it means that you need to integrate with more blockchains, and that requires some specific technical skills. I think like the complexity is overall, it's not just technical. I think it's also like how do you make it consistent? How you do make it like as easy as it gets, while the characteristics of each chain that you're trying to add are very different and might all alter in a way or another the flows and screens.
And I imagine it's hard because you have so much more surface area for vulnerabilities, for complexities, because you're not just leveraging the nuances and security of a single ecosystem. You're plugging into, 4 or 5 different layer ones right now? Or do you say 8 different layer ones?
No, I think we have 5. But it's, I mean, I would say that like the different networks and layer one that we've added are pretty mature. So yeah, I don't know if it's necessarily more like insecure than a MetaMask. I wouldn't say that, to be honest. I don't think it has like a direct impact on that.
Awesome. And then I imagine it takes a team of people to create something like this. Like it's hard enough to find people that are just Ethereum experts, like experience with Solidity and have experience developing on top of Ethereum, let alone going across different UTXO chains and other L1s. So what does the team look like? I mean, you're not building this yourself; it's a team effort. So yeah, who's working with you?
Well, we have some devs that have like obviously like like the devs that have a Web3 background, like obviously they're likely to know like Ethereum and everything that is built around Ethereum better, which is going to be the case like across the industry anyway. We had a few people also in the team that knew a little bit more about Bitcoin and UTXOs, which was definitely super helpful. And then, like it's all about learning, obviously I'm not a dev myself, so I'm not going to explain like what the process of learning how to integrate with a new chain is because, I've never done it myself. But I guess first it depends on how good the docs is from the project you're trying to integrate with, but also how open you are to learning, and I think we have a team that has a no excuse mentality, and when they don't know how to do something, they just learn how to do it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think this kind of product, it's a nice to have when we have like say today I'm like most of my portfolio is spread across 3 different L1s, right? Maybe it's Ethereum, THORChain, and Luna, and even some Bitcoin, so like 4 different L1s. And if I want to interact with different dApps, currently I have to use 4 different browser extensions or 3 different browser extensions. XDEFI is going to come in and streamline that so I can interact with these different dApps with one extension. But then particularly with something like THORChain, where THORChain itself is interoperable across different chains. So if I want to come and use THORSwap, for example, and trade between Bitcoin and Ethereum, something like XDEFI becomes a necessity based on how THORChain handles it, right? So, so before XDEFI or without XDEFI, we have to use like either a desktop or a baked-in wallet, like built into the browser. But you guys streamline that.
That's the advantage we have. I think, look, we made a bet. Okay, most of the competitors that you're going to see, they're going to start with one chain. They're going to focus on one ecosystem, one chain, and that's way easier, believe me, than trying to do like 3, because we started with 3 chains, with Binance, Bitcoin, and Ethereum, and then like way more. That has a lot of complexity to it, to the development process itself. So that was a risk we took, and a bet that we made, like also like heavily on THORChain, right? How can we be ready fast enough for mainnet? While having to support like a vast array of different layer ones. There is nothing easy to build. Like an extension is really complicated to build. That's a complex product to build. So we took a risk by doing this, but now it gives us like tremendous advantage. Why? Because it might have taken like slightly longer than if we had focused on one chain, obviously, for obvious reasons. But now we're in a position whereby not only you can have just one extension to actually interact with plenty of different ecosystems, you also basically need this extension if you want to interact with a UI interface that is powered by THORChain, because it's needed. As we see the THORChain ecosystem and community growing, this is basically validating this thesis, which is basically based on is it worth it to actually develop an extension and be multi-chain from the get-go?
Yeah, and for something like a THORChain enabled exchange, this is going to be just a critical piece of infrastructure, and it's XDEFI is an integral part of the conversation whenever THORChain or THORChain powered exchanges come up. What is the relationship that you have with THORChain? It's an external project, but it was incubated inside of THORChain. What does that mean? How did that relationship come up?
I think we were one of the very, very, very early projects, being incubated by THORChain. I mean, at the time it was obviously not as famous as it is now. I think it's been absolutely incredible how the community built up, but we had a lot of trust into the core team members at THORChain, and you know, first as investors, like I was completely like convinced personally, but then like as a builder, I think like the way they approached it, the way they started by you know, explaining us like what they had in mind when it comes to a cross-chain wallet extension, how they will proceed if they were us, and the discussion, the brainstorming sessions that we had with them were absolutely like helpful. So how does that work incubating by THORChain? Well, we had discussions, like they said, all right, do you guys want grants to build it? We're like, yes, of course, like really great. Do you, can you make a POC? David make a POC in 48 hours. They really liked it. We discussed a bit more. And then, you know, as I said, like brainstorming sessions, workshops, reviews, and discussing with the core team along the way to make sure that we are aligning with them for what we're building. So that's I would say like a distribution help, a financial help, and also some sort of guidance from the main team. And then indeed we've seen like a lot of projects like starting to build around THORChain. But yeah, you know, like I think at first we were called Is Xd5 extension. And you know, we discussed with the core team member again, like 2-3 weeks after we decided to call it Is Xd5 extension, and we was like, that doesn't really make sense to call it this way, because you know, it's of course like, you know, like XDEFI is here to support the THORChain ecosystem. That's our primary focus. That's what we want to achieve. That's the most important for us. All right. But then it's also something that you can use with anything else, like as much as you can use like Metamask or Binance Wallet or whatever other wallets. You can use it in the exact same fashion. It's actually like, we hope, and thanks to the feedback of the entire community, trying to make it better. So we decided to change the name for something which wouldn't be like related to THORChain only, to make sure that like you know, we could bring a tool, a product to all the other communities in an agnostic way.
Sure. And so you were incubated, given a grant, given distribution support, and given advisory from the THORChain team, and then they set you up to go on to launch into the community and talk a bit about the stage that you're at right now. We mentioned you have 5 chains integrated, but in terms of traction and usage, like what are you seeing in the community so far?
So we're still in private beta. We haven't opened fully yet. Most of our users are THORChain community members. We've opened widely to the THORChain community. I doubt there are many people in the THORChain community that haven't had an access code to use the product. If that's the case, guys, contact me. I'll give you an access code. But yeah, you know, we are at the stage at which we are still testing. We have a second security audit ongoing. The first one went really well. You can check on our Medium for more details if you want to read anything about that. The second is ongoing, and once this second is done, we will publicly launch. Okay, I think now we've reached a level of security that is quite high, similar to our competitors. We want to make sure it's as secure as it gets before we release it, and we also want to finish a few refactoring that we are doing to make sure that you have a little bit less bugs. As you know, like again, like when you're trying to do something multi-chain and trying to add a lot of features quickly, there is a small period of refactoring needed to make the products a little bit cleaner. So that's the stage at which we are. I think we're really close for public release. We could public release now. I think we just want to be safe and to make sure to have like a second security audit before. Obviously, right now security is a big topic, even more like in the last months. And we want to make sure that we abide by these rules that we've always followed ourselves. And you know, like we had like some users early on saying like, yeah, maybe it's not secure, it's in beta. They say don't put too much funds. And you know, I was telling them like, look, it's not because we're insecure. Like wallet extension by default are not the most secure clients. So use a ledger, and ledger wasn't integrated yet. Now it is. Well, now it's integrated. I highly recommend to anyone to, if you transfer more than 5-10K worth of dollars, like tokens, in your wallet, you should be using a ledger or a treasure or whatever cold storage you have. So we already have ledger support for Ethereum, Polygon, and Binance Smart Chain. THORChain is done. It works, but we will release it when the network is back. But it's already done. We've tested it. It works. So right now we're supporting ledger, then we'll support treasure. and then we will think about other options to make it even more secure. And we have a few things we're working on.
Great to hear you have Ledger support and Trezor coming soon. Can you talk about like number of users?
In terms of users, we have a bit less than 20,000 unique installs and users. That's where we are for now. But again, like it's private beta, so we haven't opened yet. We have a lot of requests. We hope that we're going to be able to satisfy everyone soon. But again, security first. So let's make sure that the second audit is passed successfully first.
Yeah, and for anybody listening, we'll include my access code 0xNguyen with this episode, and then I'm planning on releasing a series of guides on like how to use XDEFI, how to access certain features, and then how to use it when using like a THORChain enabled exchange like THORSwap. What does the business model look like for XDEFI? I mean, you have at this point you do have investors too, right?
So we had two rounds of investments. Business model. Well, historically, it's always been really hard to monetize wallet. I think we've seen that in the past until the swaps arrive, and I think Metamask is a good example for that. They've made like so much money with the swaps in the last 8 to 10 months. Last 8 to 10 months since October, I think last year. That clearly it really validated the swap business model. So obviously swap fees. We're going to have a swap fee that is relatively low. So we're going to have different type of swaps, right? Intra-Ethereum swaps, cross-chain swaps powered by THORChain, probably a few bridges. Okay. So on intra-Ethereum swaps, the fee will be way lower than what you have on MetaMask. On THORChain, it's almost going to be null. It's going to be really small fee, if there is any. Let's see how that goes. And then there are different ways, we can monetize ourselves. For instance, we can add ramp network or transact, so you can basically buy crypto from within the wallet using a credit card and Apple Pay and so on. Obviously, we're fully non-custodial, so this is all done by ramp network or transact, and we can take a small fee on top of that. That goes back into the community treasury. We can also monetize our API. There are a few things that we can do, but swap will be the bread and butter.
Sounds good. And you mentioned an API. It occurs to me that for something like XDEFI to proliferate, you need to build a network effect essentially of different Web3 dApps that have integrated with integrated with XDEFI. What does that process look like? I mean, do you have a business development team that's going to be reaching out to dApp developers to try and promote the integration of XDEFI?
Okay, so it depends, but like for Ethereum, for instance, where you have the most dApps now, you can use for instance, onboard.js and be on pretty much like most of the dApps in one go, like to have the logo basically to click on when you click on connect at the top right of the dApp. So that's relatively easy. For other ecosystems, it depends. I mean, if you take something like Solana or Terra, I'd say that it's going to be easier, I guess, because you're going to have probably 5 to 10 dApps that are really heavily used, and that you can reach out to. Obviously, we have a network of investor, and we have a partnership manager in the team, and so on. So we obviously going to be discussing with these different dApps, and for THORChain, obviously this is probably them who are going to come to us. We have an SDK that is done that THORSwap has used and Asgardec has used and Skip as well, and so on. So it's all about creating a really good doc and make sure that we have access to this dApp. But in general, if you have users like dApp, then they're more inclined to give you a spot higher in the list that they're displaying. And
then in terms of other platforms, I mean, you mentioned, so we have a browser extension today. Did you mention a web app earlier? And is there a roadmap towards launching on other platforms, or are we going to keep it towards extensions and browsers? Look,
I think now we need to finish to nail all the features of the wallet extension. That's the most important. That's our main product. Then is a mobile wallet, a web app, a natural path of growth? I'd say yes, absolutely. Let's see when the time is right. For now, we're finishing everything about the extension.
Sure. I'll tell you one step at a time. Something we, like to consider now is like, where we are today in terms of DeFi and in terms of Web3, and then where we might be, 2, 3, 4 years from now. Are there any particular trends when it comes to browser extension wallets or DeFi more broadly that you think are the most significant right now?
In terms of wallet extensions or DeFi, I mean, like there are a lot of things happening. I guess, I mean, NFTs. I don't know if you embed NFTs in that, but I think NFTs and gamifications in general is big. I think as a wallet provider, we have the opportunity, to have users that are joining the decentralized web via us, kinda. And basically have access to users that are at the very beginning of their learning curve when it comes to crypto and DeFi more specifically. So gamification would be like absolutely key to onboard these new users that are either coming directly from not using crypto or coming from centralized exchanges. So I think the next big trend is going to be about like education. How do you educate people to make sure that they know how to best use the tools that are available to them to use the different DeFi protocols and create different strategies. So education, gamifications, and education. And NFTs something else, but NFTs can be also included in that. NFT is going to be a big trend as well. Like we can see it. I think we just seen the beginning of it.
Absolutely. And that's something that, is core to what we're working to do at Runebase, like between, the news and updates are obviously ongoing, and it's, keeping people informed of what's going on in the ecosystem, but also, the guide section is where I'm really excited about what we can do with Runebase, because onboarding people, particularly, into THORChain, but also DeFi more broadly, there is a lot of great content out there, but we wanted to create like a very easy entry point for new users to understand, what is THORChain, but why is it important? Like what is it about non-custodial services or decentralized services? Why should they care about THORChain versus something like a Coinbase or a Binance? And so, yeah, we take that education component as like critical, within like our own ethos. How does that influence, like, how you feel about, XDEFI when it comes to gamification and education? Are those things that you're going to be doing with with XDEFI?
So I can't talk too much about it, but I'm like in the team we are like we have a lot of people that used to play a lot of video games. Like we have like former professional players and so on, and we're all about gamifications. We love that. We haven't done too much about it yet, I think, because like all the resources are on the extension itself. But I think there are a few things that we can do, and you can have some high expectations from us in terms of gamifications, because again, when the time is right in a few months, like we will have like a few things to show you guys, and that's gonna be fun. That's gonna be super fun. So yeah, we have something in mind.
Awesome, glad to hear it. Yeah, last but not least here, I'd love to, talk about your perspective on, the last few weeks with THORChain. You mentioned earlier, you guys are going through security audits right now. Security is a huge topic in the THORChain ecosystem for obvious reasons. And then for anybody listening, we're obviously at Runebase, we're publishing like our 2-part series on, the last few weeks, the attacks that happened on THORChain, and then the community response going forward. What was the last few weeks like for you guys at XDEFI as all of this stuff was happening? Was it, how did you guys respond over the last few weeks?
I think what was interesting is to see like the reaction of the different projects built around THORChain, the community, and the other stakeholders of the entire THORChain ecosystem. I think we've been like, and I think you are in some of these groups, you are with other like founders of projects like built around THORChain. I think it was interesting to see how we communicate quickly between each other and be able to relay like the informations like across the different social media channels, and we're working towards like improving this even further, which is really important. Now, obviously, that had an impact on us to a certain extent. There are a few features that we cannot relay, that we cannot release because the network is altered, but I think it's absolutely essential. I think that THORChain works, which was the most complicated thing to achieve at first. Now we need to make sure that that it's secure. And I know that the core team is taking this like excessively seriously, and is working on this with us and with like obviously like everyone in the ecosystem, and that's really great to see. So I think it's worth to wait a little bit to make sure that it's really, really safe. I think not too much was stolen. They can cover it with the treasury, which is awesome. Now we need to continue on this wave and make it secure and not have the network up and running until it's really safe.
Did the attacks on THORChain, did it affect your thinking or your strategy around XDeFi at all? Maybe as it relates to, for example, like security, or is it all the same?
No, I think we've always been really, as a wallet, you need to be you need to be a psychopath about security as much as you can. Your wallet, we're talking about funds from users. So we are like this is our first focus. Did it change our strategy or anything? Like not like we again, like we trust THORChain, and like we know that like this is going to be solved, and it didn't really impact too much. No.
Awesome. Well, yeah, that's good to hear, and I could say the same. I think especially as there was a quick sequence of events through the course of July, where it felt like after one exploit, all the black hats in crypto just started circling like sharks around THORChain and started to see where the flaws were, where the holes were, and as these events layered on top of one another, it was a very intense time for the THORChain core devs, I'm sure, and then also for the community around it. But it occurred to me while it was all happening that this is actually, how these networks harden and how they become stronger. They're really anti-fragile in this sense. Both the technology itself, as things like these two different security firms doing these audits. You have Immunify and Nine Realms coming together to create the White Hat bounty program. And you have this community swarm of security, professionals and white hats that are looking for exploits in a more in a less organized way, in a much more fluid way, but then also from a community standpoint, I think this is really like a galvanizing force. It shook out a lot of weak hands. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. This is amazing. This is amazing. I mean, you can only rate your community in a way based on the reaction that like the community members have in time of uncertainties. And I think we've seen that with THORChain. People have stepped up, and THORChain needed that, and people have stepped up, and that says a lot about the THORChain community, how resilient they are and how motivated they are and dedicated. So I mean, for me, that couldn't be like a better signal. I think this is awesome. So let's harden the network and
absolutely.
Go.
Well, this has been awesome. It's been great to hear. First off, that there's some exciting stuff in store for you guys in terms of what's next for layer one blockchain integrations. I love the teaser there. I think I might have a guess as to what's coming, and I'm excited for the announcement. And then it's also great to hear that we have more to look forward to in terms of onboarding, user interface, and then also like gamification, education. If there's anything that we can do at Runebase to help, please don't hesitate to reach out. We're looking forward to covering you guys and growing alongside you guys for months and years to come here. Is there anything else that we didn't get to cover that you wanted to share before we hop off?
No. Look at if you guys are into NFT, look at your NFTs within XDeFi, because it's quite cool actually to be able to display your NFT in your wallet extension.
Do you have any favorite NFT projects currently? Are you a collector?
I actually do. Yeah, I have like I had some Axie a while back, since a while back, let's say. But yeah, no, I'm guilty as charged. I really like NFTs, and I'm aping in a lot of things.
What are we aping into? Give it
at absurd valuation.
Give us a little alpha leak.
I mean, I really like apes. I like the ape community, but the Gutter cat gang is really cool. They have an awesome community on Discord. Gutter cat gang. Sorry if my pronunciation is weird, but it's like Gutter cat gang. It's really, really cool. They're super fun, Yeah, I think that's no financial advice at all, guys. But it's like just like yeah, they're really cool. Have a look. Like the artist who did that is great, and the community looks cool.
Cool, I'll check these out. Nice. Yeah, we'll take a look at these in XDEFI. Well, maybe we'll drop some screenshots in the chat below. Awesome. And just a little bit of a teaser too. I teased this on Twitter earlier, but THORSwap and Runebase were collaborating on I think there's a few NFT projects coming to the THORChain ecosystem that I know of. I think I know MeowBrains and the .org team is working on something. I know OX Ventures has something in the pipeline as well. And then with Runebase and THORSwap, we're collaborating on a fun THORChain ecosystem NFT project. So some things to announce there in the next probably 2 or 3 weeks. So we'll keep you posted, Emile. We'll give you a little alpha leak there. Are you like pretty guarded and private about your collection, or is it something that you're like more open with? People have different levels of privacy with that.
Depends on which address they are, but I have some address I don't really want to dox, but yeah. Otherwise, yeah, I'm okay. I can share the address with all my gutter cats and gutter rats. If you guys want to see what I have. I'm happy with that.
Yeah, I would love to see it. We'll maybe share it later. Awesome. Well, Emile, this has been great. Love the work that you're doing. XDEFI has made my Web3 experience a lot better, and it's just getting started, still in private beta. So there's still a lot more to come, and kinks to work out, integrations to follow. So appreciate you taking the time to jump on with us, and we're looking forward to following along as you grow over the next few months.
Of course, man. Anytime. Thank you so much for receiving me, and yeah. Any questions from your community or anyone else, please let me know. I'll happy to answer.
All right, Emile. Appreciate you. Take care.